It started as an ordinary afternoon, the kind where sunlight slipped lazily through the curtains, painting soft golden lines across the living room floor. I was sitting in my chair, reading, when my grandson, Ethan, walked in. He'd been visiting more often lately, saying he wanted to check on me, though I suspected there was more behind those visits, something unspoken. He wasn't the same boy I remembered. The round cheeks and nervous laughter were gone, replaced by a calm confidence, an almost unfamiliar presence that reminded me of how much time had passed. "Grandma, you look tense," he said with a playful grin, setting his phone aside. "You should let me give you a massage. I've learned a few things from YouTube." I chuckled, unsure whether to take him seriously. "A massage? From you? Oh, Ethan. Why not?" he teased. "You're always complaining about your shoulders." He wasn't wrong. The years had taken their toll. So, reluctantly, I agreed, thinking it was harmless. Just a sweet gesture from a grandson trying to help. But as his hands rested on my shoulders, something strange happened. It wasn't the touch itself, it was the weight of the moment. The quiet. The way the air seemed to thicken around us. I felt a lump form in my throat, the kind that comes when you realize time has slipped away from you. Ethan wasn't my little boy anymore. He was a man. "Does that feel better?" he asked softly. I nodded, but my voice caught. "You're stronger than I remember." He smiled, continuing to knead the tension out of my shoulders. The warmth from his hands wasn't just physical, it carried something else. A kind of tenderness that made my chest ache. And for a brief, confusing second, I realized what was truly bothering me. It wasn't the massage. It was the distance. The growing space between who we were and who we'd become. Ethan paused for a moment, his tone suddenly thoughtful. "Grandma, do you ever think about how people change? Like, one day you wake up and realize someone isn't who they used to be." The question took me by surprise. "What do you mean?" He hesitated, his hands still. "I don't know. I just feel like I used to understand you better. We used to talk more." His words struck me harder than I expected. He was right. Ever since his grandfather passed, I'd built walls without realizing it, pushing everyone away, including Ethan. "I guess I haven't been very present," I admitted quietly. "It's not you. It's just life." He sighed, stepping around to face me. His expression was raw, vulnerable, the kind of look that only comes from someone searching for connection. "You're all I've got left, Grandma. Sometimes it feels like you don't even see me anymore." My heart ached. The guilt I'd buried for years began to surface. How many times had I brushed him off, too caught up in my own grief to notice his? I reached up, touching his hand gently. "I see you, Ethan. More than you think." For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The room was silent except for the ticking of the old clock on the wall. It felt like the air was holding its breath, like something fragile hung between us. And then, a knock shattered the silence. The front door creaked open, and my daughter, his mother, stepped in, holding a grocery bag. "Mom! Ethan! Everything okay?" We both turned at once, startled. I quickly stood up, smoothing my blouse, trying to steady my breathing. "Yes, everything's fine," I said too quickly. "We were just talking." She looked between us, sensing something in the air, a tension that words couldn't explain. Ethan managed a smile, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. After she left the room, Ethan gathered his things. "I should probably go," he said quietly. I wanted to say something, to fix the misunderstanding I could feel settling in, but the words wouldn't come. I watched him walk toward the door, that same heavy air following him out. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything, the silence, his words, the sadness in his eyes. What had I done? How had something so innocent become so complicated? Maybe it wasn't the massage that changed things, maybe it was what it revealed. The fragile cracks in our bond, the unspoken pain that had been there all along. We were two people standing on opposite sides of a memory, both longing for connection, both afraid to reach across the space between us. Days later, Ethan came back. This time, he didn't bring up the massage. He just sat beside me and talked, really talked. About school, about his mom, about feeling invisible sometimes. And for the first time in years, I listened. I realized then that the tension I'd felt wasn't wrong, it was human. It was love tangled with regret, closeness mixed with confusion. The kind that exists between two hearts that have drifted apart and are trying to find their way back. When he left that day, he hugged me tightly and whispered, "Don't disappear again, Grandma." I smiled through the tears. I won't. Some moments in life blur the lines between comfort and discomfort, love and loneliness. But it's not the moment that defines us, it's what we choose to do after. For me, it was a reminder that love doesn't always speak clearly. Sometimes, it hides behind silence, waiting for a touch, a word, a second chance to be seen again.